Hello everyone, welcome to all. Today we'll be doing a practical exercise related to our topic Explain K environmental regulation and legal recruitments and interpret how they impact sustainability and efficiency in food production. Today's practical exercise will approach our topic from different angles. We will examine it from social, humanitarian, economic, and business, and also both angles. The first part will cover theoretical information. Following this, we will conduct a case study demonstrating what can be done even with basic Excel data and simple data. Our aim is not only to participate in food rescue and redistribution activities, but also to show how significant a material impact you can create through these activities. Okay, let's begin. Our learning outcomes, first of all, as you know, to explain key national and international EU environmental regulation and the principles of the waste hierarchy in food production, to interpret the strategic impact of legal compliance of operational efficiency and resource conservation, water, energy, raw materials, and so on, to analyze the impact of food waste management strategies on carbon footprint reduction and sustainability goals. Okay, now let's continue. Okay. Today, we are not just discussing a technical process in food production, but a vital paradigm shift. The global food system is under more pressure than ever before in history. Current data whisper a shocking reality to us. Approximately 1/3 of the food produced every year is wasted before it even reaches the table. It's incredible. This is not just about a food item going to waste. It means the water, land, energy, and human labor spent to produce that food is also irreversibly squandered. Food waste is one of the quietest but most destructive triggers on the climate crisis. The traditional linear economy model, based on the, as you know, take, make, and dispose principle, has now reached the limits of natural resources. Instead of this unsustainable cycle, we must accept the circular bioeconomy model is a cornerstone. Circularity refers to keeping a resource within a system for as long as possible and its highest value. At this point, environmental regulations are not a burden on business, but on the contrary, they are the most strategic catalyst to realize this green transformation. Regulation forces us into efficiency, innovation, and rethinking resources. The vision we emphasize in this slide is to see food waste not just a waste problem, but as efficiency equation to be solved and humanitarian problem. In the journey of sustainability, the legal ground that embodies this intention is critical as the intention itself. Environmental compliance in the food sector requires understanding a complex legislative architecture. While the European Union Green Deal is becoming the new constitution of global trade, on the basis of Turkey, the zero waste regulation that came into effect in 2019 is the strongest national legal basis for fighting food waste. These regulations tell us not only what we should do, but also in what order of priority we should do it. This is exactly where the concept of waste hierarchy comes into play. This hierarchy serves as a compass for a sustainable food system. At the very top and most sacred step of the pyramid is prevention. The most efficient waste is one that was never generated. If we cannot prevent waste generation, the next step should be reuse. This is the process of donating food or directing it to human consumption before it loses its value. If this is also not possible, we must transform the food into animal feed, compost, or biogas through recycling. The disposal option at the bottom of the pyramid, sending to a landfill, is now both a legal risk and a major financial defect in the modern world. The spirit of environmental regulation encourages us to stay away from the bottom of the pyramid and keep the resources at the top. This legal compliance is the guarantee of your business environmental reputation. Environmental regulations are often perceived as obstacles restricting production process. However, we want to shake this traditional perspective with the Porter hypothesis. According to this theory, put forward by Michael Porter, strict and well-designed environmental regulations are not a cost for business, but on the contrary, an opportunity that triggers innovation. Regulation forces us to question our current methods and find more rational ways. The organic waste tracking, which is a legal requirement in food production, actually allows the business to discover hidden losses on the production line. Remember this. You cannot manage a process you cannot measure. Digital tracking system and reporting protocols established for the purpose of regulatory compliance are actually operational excellence tools that increase raw material efficiency. For example, an engineer trying to keep the amount of waste within the legal limit actually notices leaks in the line, wrong temperature settings, or raw material waste. This creates a synergy where green compliance directly serves business profitability and overall equipment effectiveness, OEE. Therefore, complying with environmental regulation is not just about avoiding penalties and more efficient, but using legal requirements as a lever for development will be greatest competence of the food professionals of the future. In this final part of our theoric part of presentation, we will focus on the real-world reflection of theoretical principles and their links to climate change. Food waste is not just a loss of raw materials. Food waste rotting in landfills causes the releases of methane, a greenhouse gas 25 times more powerful than carbon dioxide. This can increase your business carbon footprint to unmanageable levels. Today, the rules of global trade are being rewritten. Applications such as the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, CBAM, will weaken the competitiveness of high-emission products in the international market. At this point, green label and sustainability certificates have become a market entry ticket rather than a preference for your business. Now, it's time to embody all that we have explained with the case study we name Yeşil Gıda A.Ş. We will examine the legal deficiencies of an imaginary facility like a detective. Then, with the Excel tool we prepared in English called Green Food Efficiency Analysis Tool, we will mathematically see how the waste management strategies in this facility are reflected in the profit loss statement and carbon report card. The numbers will prove to us the power of legal compliance. Remember, sustainability is not a destination, but a continuous journey of improvement nourished by legal compliance and grown with efficiency. If you are ready to move from the theory to practice, we can start our analysis and case study. Our case study name is Yeşil Gıda A.Ş. Transforming Waste Management through Data-Driven Analysis. Yeşil Gıda A.Ş. is a medium-sized fruit, juice, and concentrate production facility operating in the Aegean region of Turkey. The facility makes a significant contribution to the regional economy, particularly with its peach, apple, and tomato processing lines. Company profile and operational capacity. Yeşil Gıda A.Ş. has an average annual raw fruit processing capacity of 20,000 tons, while modernization efforts for the facility production line are ongoing. Waste management processes are still carried out using traditional methods. The company exports to European Union countries as well as the local market, making it subject to both national and international regulation. Current waste situation and problems. Preliminary assessment of the facility indicate that it falls short of sustainability criteria outlined in the Regulatory Compliance and Waste Disposal Schemas document. The main problems are grouped under the following headings. Lack of source separation. Fruit pomace, plastic packaging waste, and general operational waste from the production line are all stored in a single collection area. This eliminates the potential for organic waste recovery. High disposal cost. Business pay sustainable transportation and disposal fees per ton to send their unsorted waste to the local municipal landfill. Lack of waste management plan. The facility doesn't have an up-to-date zero waste certificate, and waste traceability is maintained through manual disorganized methods. The table you can see contains some critical data from Yeşil Gıda A.Ş. for the past year. Students, you will use this data in the Excel simulation in next chapter. You will see, I will explain this. External threats and strategic opportunities. Yeşil Gıda A.Ş. is under pressure from two major challenges. Firstly, new inspection and potential administrative fines expected under Turkey's zero waste regulation. Secondly, additional taxes on the export, on the on the export of high carbon footprint produce due to the EU border carbon adjustment mechanism. However, highlighted in the regulatory compliance document, redirecting organic waste to biogas plants or animal feed producers can transform a cost item into a revenue system for the business. The fact that raw material loss at the facility is currently at 22% indicates that this loss can be reduced by 15% through environmental compliance, thus directly increasing profitability. As an auditor, your task is to test the current state of the business according to the criteria of the Republic of Turkey Zero Waste Regulation and EU Waste Framework Directive. Use the checklist here below to identify any shortcoming in the business or your checklist. Registration and declaration. Does the business regularly declare the quantity and type of waste generated through MOTAT, Mobile Hazardous Waste Tracking System of the Integrated Environmental Information System? Separation. Have organic waste, pulp, husks been physically separated from packaging wastes, plastic, metal at the source? Certification. Does the facility have a basic level 0 waste certificate? Hierarchy arrangement. Are waste primarily sent for recycling, animal feed, compost energy, or directly to a landfill? Food waste management is not just about getting rid of waste, but about preserving its value. Using the following hierarchy rate Yeşil Gıda frame's current management model on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 equal lowest efficiency, 5 equal highest sustainability. You are expected to interpret the impact of deficiencies identified in the audit on the efficiency of the business. For example, sending 4,500 tons of unsorted organic waste to the landfill represent not only a transportation cost for the business, but also a loss of bioeconomic value. Your instruction. Please mark any missing items on the checklist. Calculate the company's sustainability score by filling out the scoring table, and note the 3 most critical legal risks you have identified and the productivity gains that will be achieved if these risks were addressed. At this stage, using the data from the Yeşil Gıda frame scenario, you will analyze the multifaceted impacts of legal regulation on the business. Your analysis will reveal the manifestation of sustainability goals on financial performance. Analyze method, mass balance and resources efficiency. In food production, efficiency is minimizing the difference between the raw materials entering the facility and the finished product. Environmental regulation compels business to measure and reduce this difference. Method, using the Excel tool, I will show you, detailed in next section, calculate the impact of 4,500 tons of organic waste at the facility on the mass balance. Question, how much does each 1% reduction in waste amount translate into savings in raw material purchasing cost? Here you can see our Excel sheet first, our Excel document first sheet, the data input panel, which serves as the heart of our operations. Every professional's audit and sustainability analysis begin with incorporating accurate and transparent data into the system. The panel you see on the slide is where we essentially create a digital twin of the Yeşil Gıda frame facility. As a food professional, your first task is to transfer raw operational data into the system without error. Here, we are not just typing numbers into cells. We are initiating the mass balance equation of the facility. In food system, mass balance is a mathematical expression of the physical relationship between raw material input, final product, and waste. In here, you can see our Excel document. We have 3 categories here: data input, efficiency analysis, and scenario comparison. Now we are here. Our total processed raw material is 20,000 tons per year, and generated organic waste is 4,500 tons per year. If I change this number Look here. Other cell will change. And scenario comparison shall look here, help us 1 million Turkish liras with management cost. I'm going to change this and change currency. Okay, then it's you see it's a change because every cells connecting other cells. Let's turn our slide. In our case study, we are discussing an annual raw material processing value of 20,000 tons. Within this massive volume, the 4,500 tons of organic waste generated might initially seem like just another operational output. Remember, sustainability is a measurable discipline. Every entry you make in this panel will form the basis of the green efficiency scores we will see in the next stage. If the data is correct, our analysis will be equally powerful and impactful. In our second slide, in our second sheet of book, Excel book document, we transition to the most critical section of our analysis tool, the efficiency and environmental analysis sheet. This page acts as the engine room where the numbers you entered in the previous stage are interpreted in light of green competencies. The formulas here redefine food waste not just a quantity, but as an operational efficiency metric. First, I want you to focus on the waste rate cell. This rate is the inverted mirror of your raw material efficiency. A high waste rate directly represents hidden losses and inefficient process within the production line. However, the real transformation happens in the environmental impact section. Here, our formulas compare two different worlds. In the current state, the cost of sending organic waste to landfills is a massive carbon footprint calculated with an emission factor of 0.6. This represents methane gas released into the atmosphere. But when we construct a green scenario, diverting waste to biogas or animal feed, we see our emission factor drop to 0.05. This mathematical reality proves the massive remedial effect of environmental regulation and legal compliance and on sustainability. The data on this sheet convert a food facility's greenness into a numerical report card, rather than just how much it produced. As a student, your primary task is to interpret how full compliance with laws can reduce carbon emission by over 90% and to turn this data into evidence to be presented to business management. Last sheets, and the final point of analysis and the scenario sheet in Excel document, we address the business value of sustainability through the financial impact and scenario comparison sheet. The slide is a strategic dashboard proving why green compliance is not a cost, but a value generator. The linear model you see on the left shows the total annual loss incurred by the business due to waste management. In this model, money is effectively thrown away. However, when we switch to the circular model tab, you will see that our formulas reconstruct waste as a revenue item. The sum of the recovery income generated from selling food waste as animal feed or organic fertilizer, combined with the avoided disposal cost, provides us with the total economic advantage figure. The greatest lesson we must derive from this equation is that sustainability is one of the most powerful financial tools for increasing business profitability. The comparison tables on the slide demonstrate to students that compliance with laws is not just about avoiding penalties, but also about creating new market opportunities. Through this digital tool, we obtain concrete evidence that environmental regulation forces business toward innovation, the Porter hypothesis. Consequently, this three-sheet analysis process aims to train you as a sustainability architects to transform data into a strategic decision and to initiate a true green transformation in food system. Now we will turn our case study film. Now we look financial impact analysis from disposal cost to revenue model. Yeşil Gıda firm currently incurs only a linear cost by sending its waste to the municipal landfill. Analyze the difference that would occur if this waste were directed to biogas or animal feed facilities or by legislation with Excel sheet. The current situation is approximately 1,575,000 Turkish lira annual cost. Scenario B, bioeconomy, as you know. Scenario A, what are the direct savings a business would achieve if the waste were delivered to a biogas plant free of charge? You can calculate with Excel sheet. Scenario B, sustainable innovation. If the waste is dried on site and sold as animal feed, taking advantage of the incentive mentioned in the regulatory compliance document, how will annual net cash flow change? The environmental impact and carbon footprint projection. The composition of waste in landfills releases large amounts of methane gas into the atmosphere. Environmental regulation aim to prevent this release. You must analyze, calculate the carbon dioxide equivalent emission that will be prevented if 4,500 tons of organic waste were recycled instead of being thrown away. Use the emission coefficient in the Excel tool. Interpretation, how does this emission reduction provide a strategic advantage to the company within the framework of Turkey's climate target and the EU border carbon adjustment mechanism? And last one, efficiency and regulatory synergy, Porter hypothesis, draw conclusion about how environmental regulation increases the competitiveness of business by forcing them to innovate. Student, your task, using case data, explain how the rigorous waste monitoring implemented in the facility revealed which hidden losses in the production line, for example, excessive water usage or energy task. Let's return Excel sheet. The Excel tool consists of three main modules with a user-friendly interface. For the accuracy of the analysis, it's critical that the student transfer the data from the case study to the correct cells. Input panel, you can write your data here. Basic operational data, cost parameters, you can change these parameters also, and green transformation factor. In scenario sheets, the Excel tools allows students to test different legal compliance scenarios using what-if analysis. Scenario B, traditional linear model. Scenario 1, traditional linear model. Scenario 2, partial compatibility, animal feed, redirecting some of the organic waste to local farms. And scenario 3, full compliance and circular economy. The waste is sent to a biogas or composting facility in full compliance with the zero waste regulation. At this stage, the vehicle maximizes the green efficiency score. After the data is entered numerically, the Excel tool generates professional charts that can be presented to the management. This chart visualizes the impact of environmental regulation of productivity as follows. Mass balance graph, a Sankey diagram-like visualization showing how much of the raw material is converted into a product and how much becomes waste. Return of investments curve, or carbon footprint thermometer, a dynamic indicator, and so on. In this report, you should combine the result from Excel tool with the theoretical information in the regulatory compliance and waste disposal schema document to answer the following question. How much does unit cost of the business decrease when full compliance with the law is achieved? How would a 20% reduction in carbon emission affect competitiveness in the Turkey and EU market? Which waste management strategy offers the highest efficiency and the lowest environmental risk? Now you will prepare a comprehensive environmental compliance and efficiency report incorporating the result obtained from the Green Food Inc. company, Yeşil Gıda firm. Case study and the Excel analysis tool, you will use it. This report should demonstrate how sustainability-focused decision-making process should be managed in a food business. The report's structure should include the following headings. Your report contains summary, a summary of the business current status and key legal risk. Legislation analysis, non-compliance identified according to Turkey's Zero Waste Regulation and EU standards. Productivity and economic impact. Using data from Excel, calculate the financial return and return to investment of waste reduction and environmental benefit. Recommendation for a waste management strategy focused on a prevented carbon emission and the bioeconomy. Thank you for listening.